Everybody, Jeremy Kane, eXp Realty here. Thanks for tuning in to Why Invest Wednesday. Today we're going to talk a little bit about buying remotely using virtual tools. This is something that is coming up in our industry a lot lately with the speed of the market. So stay tuned and we'll catch you up. All right, let's get into this. Hey everybody, Jeremy Kane here. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about buying a home virtually. We're going to talk about the tools that you as a buyer or your realtor or real estate professional should take into account. And then we're going to talk a little bit about partnering with some other professionals and contractors that actually understand the technology and can take care of you and get you the information you need if maybe you're not completely there at every little step of the way because you're living across the country or something like that. And then finally we'll talk a little bit about some tips that I like to give those buyers that are trying to buy remotely. So let's get into it. The first is get an app that works. Obviously if you are an Apple user, you have the FaceTime capability. If you're going to be with a significant other and maybe you guys aren't going to be together all the time when the real estate professional showed you the house, make sure you have the right app. There's all kinds of apps that cross over. I've used Google Duo before. There's Google Party. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use. It's live video apps and things like that. One thing I would suggest is maybe do a live walkthrough and then maybe have the real estate professional go through with a video that you can reference later, or maybe use the record screen on your phone when that showing is taking place so you can go back and reference it, similar to like a second showing or something like that. Next, I use a gimbal. It's basically something that I can hold and put my camera on. I actually don't have one with me right now. I was supposed to, but gimbal will allow for smooth videoing so that like when you're walking upstairs and stuff, you're not getting a headache. Obviously, that's kind of the realtor side, but just a cool note. And if you were wondering how your realtor's so smooth, like myself when I show homes virtually, that is how we do it. It's a device that basically steadies the phone as you move around. So that is a nice luxury, so to speak, when you're doing that. Next, I use a laser measuring device, $25 at Home Depot. This allows me to measure master bedrooms for size, washer and dryer areas, things that matter, refrigerator areas, if that's something that's a concern. But if you have a huge master bedroom set, you can get that measurement quick. I can take it right while I'm there. I can hold the phone in one hand, measure in the other, and get that taken care of. So that's a good tool and allows you to take a little references. Obviously, we have different angled lenses and things like that on our phones and cameras. So you never know exactly how big it is. And the pictures always make it look bigger. I will tell you that. Us realtors pay a lot of money for those pictures. So that's that one. And then also I would say make sure your realtor does an adequate job of the exterior. Okay. Is it on a busy street? Is it, is the neighbor have cars on blocks and things like that? If you're a mechanic, maybe that's important. You probably don't want to move into a house that has, an HOA and, everything has to be exactly clean and tidy. If you're a mechanic, you probably want to have, some of that also in the neighborhood. So number one, so you can do it. Always check those HOA rules if it is in an HOA, but also just, to get a general vibe for the neighborhood. Exterior, looking at the foundation, walking around, just getting a good feel of the environment around the home is super important and something that often is overlooked because we start the process as we go in the front door, finish it before we leave, and then it's over. So drives into the community are big, drives to common grocery stores and things like that are also important. So do more than just get the interior of the house. Make sure you get the full scope, the exterior, and all those things. For instance, like, is it close to train tracks, things like that. You can utilize Google Maps, and this will kind of take us into the tips later. We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, let's talk about contractors. I, for one, have a very good inspector who has done many virtual inspections for me. Started kind of in COVID, but somebody that can absolutely use those technology devices to properly explain what's going on. There's a water leak here. They can jump on a live call and take you around the house and do the inspection like you're there. That's something that's super important. Obviously, like a sewer scope company, they have the technology. It's a camera. You can't really see anything but the video anyways. But contractors and things like that, maybe interior designer, can take pictures and have all of the technology to basically put your new stuff into the existing, so you can kind of visualize and see that. Kind of a nice touch. So definitely have a contractor, especially an inspector, that has done a virtual showing, isn't fumbling around, and can actually live video chat with you about those issues, so you can get the full education of the process, since you are paying a decent amount for the inspection. And it's really just an educational thing anyway, so you might as well soak up all of that, because that's what you're paying for. Next, we'll talk about tips. Always check state and local sites for crime, schools, sex offenders, things like that. I am actually legally not allowed to tell you, anything that I may know, or my opinions of certain areas or anything like that. So make sure you're familiarizing yourself with the county websites, the city websites, and just kind of get that knowledge, especially when you're buying remotely. Look at the Google Maps. It's kind of cool because you can go back, so you can kind of see different time periods, how's it developed, so on and so forth. So definitely something to consider when you are, looking at a home. Use that Google Maps, make sure you're on those sites. Join those local next door and Facebook groups. Obviously, sometimes those turn into a cry fest or something like that, but definitely get a feel for the community you're moving into, the neighborhoods. And then if you are over it and that's not you, when you move, you can get rid of them. But I would definitely keep an eye on those. Kind of gives you a general feel for what's going on in the area. And then obviously, after all of this is considered, buying a home virtually is great. I would never suggest doing sight unseen. We have obviously the use of a lot of tools and things like that. But at the end of the day, we can never replace that emotion, that feeling when you walk into a home. So whether it's coming out for the showings or coming out for the inspection, at the very least, the final walkthrough. But it's really nice to get in the home as soon as you're able physically, because that makes a big deal. Obviously, if you're in a different country, you're coming back from, I had a client move from China this year, and they actually came back before we closed. But if that's the case, it's a little bit more difficult. Maybe have a family member go over and just kind of physically feel that house and understand, from a different perspective. Obviously, we do as much as we can as your realtor and things like that to make it perfect for you. And, but that feeling and that emotion is something that we can't replace. So obviously, with the speed of the market, this is something that we're dealing with. I've even had virtual showings with people that are in town and just can't make it right away when it comes on, and we need to make a quick decision. So these virtual showings are going to be more and more apparent, and something that is becoming the norm. So obviously, best is to be there in person, in the flesh all the time. But if you can't, definitely utilize these tools. Please let me know if you have any questions on that, or if somebody's thinking about relocating. I would love to talk to them, because our Denver market obviously is very quickly moving, and I can definitely help them out, have them get a feel for neighborhoods, things like that, without even being here. So thanks for tuning in today. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.